Hey guys, Mike here. So what a day in the market and what a setup for tomorrow. Oh my goodness, man. We got a lot of stuff to talk about in this video. I'm going to go through a lot of stocks. Some will be rapid fire, but there are certain things that are breaking and certain things are going to be retested that you better not miss out on for sure. Because it's going to be a good one. Because remember, we got FOMC tomorrow. All right, I always love how the market puts us in a certain spot for FOMC and stuff. And then we'll go into earnings. We have more big earnings tomorrow. Obviously, we had Microsoft out today. AMD just came out. Pinterest got absolutely annihilated, but it's coming back as usual. But when you look right here, guys, I mean, let's just be clear about this. We talked about the Qs. Don't want to break this channel. It broke the channel today, came down, retested, got rejected. It is currently trying to fight its way back up as Microsoft and AMD recover, which we'll talk about in just a minute because they're going to have certain things, a big retest of some major moving averages and trend lines on that one. And again, it's just one of those things, you can break down and then all of a sudden they run the futures up the middle of the night and you end up right back closing above or opening above that, okay? You see the SPX broke down through that trend line again. It recovered very quickly the last two times it came down, but on this one, now we closed below it once again for the second time. It came down that area, the shaded right there, bounced right off of it. So definitely loves that area for support. Coming into what? Tomorrow is the end of July, coming into FOMC. So we're going to start August. I literally just did a members video on this, telling them what to expect in August right here, what we should be able to expect. And you can see on the 15-minute chart, lower time frame, they were building it back up. It came up, took liquidity. I don't even think you can see that little tail right there on that candlestick. But, we'll see how the futures are tonight. I'm going to be watching them like a hawk. When it comes to IWM, very quickly here, let me get rid of that. You can see kind of deal what we talked about, right? It came up, took liquidity right there, came back down inside of this, and then started moving back up into that shaded box right there and mitigated the whole thing. So we're going to get rid of that now and reject it off of that. And so I'm going to draw this trend line right here out to, this is our wedge right here. And you can see we close like just right on top of it. Okay, right on top of it. Shocker. Oh my goodness, we got some interest rate information tomorrow. I can't believe we closed right on top of it. And so again, kind of retested that where it broke out before. And so we'll see what happens there. Now, of course, what's causing an after hours is a big drop here with Microsoft. It reports earnings, soft on its cloud revenue and stuff. Wasn't like it was crazy, disastrous, or nothing like that. But these reactions, right? And it's starting to suck up and recover. And of course, that's recovering. The futures are starting to recover and pull back up as well as this happens. Again, when you look at this on Microsoft, this is what's important about Microsoft. Obviously broke that trend line right there, which has been support, of course, quite a few times. Another big thing to watch out, though, for Microsoft is going to be the 200 moving average. And after hours, it has dropped below the 200 moving average, right at the bottom of that shaded area below it, actually, is where it came down. And now it's coming back up. So it has the retest. So you're going to retest in the middle of the night and open up above it, or we get rejected and start heading down. And it hadn't touched the 200 in a long time. The last time it fell beneath it was a 2022 crash, but obviously moving back out of that, it was like March of 2023 is the last time it even sniffed the 200, okay? And so this is a healthy thing for a market if it gets back above it and moves, right? And we start turning bullish again for sure. Because when it usually touches and can hold it or get back above it and move, that's usually a bullish thing for us, so watch out for that. AMD, Lucy Liu, or whatever her name, saved the day on this one as it started dropping after hours. She started talking it up. It was a double beat on the headline. I think they project out pretty good. And when you look at this, though, it came down, touched this little shaded area we like so much, and bounced from there. But this is another one. When you look at it, I mean, obviously, where you measure from, 29% down since July, and way farther down since a few months ago. When you look right here, what's it doing? It's below the 200. And remember, it's not the fact it has to fall below. It's not breaking a moving average or trend line that really matters as much. It is the retest, okay? If you look right there, retested the 200 and it fell, okay? Came down the 100, retested the 100 moving average. What happened? Boom, see you later, mama. It failed, okay? So it's the retest. So we'll see tomorrow if we get a retest of the 200, and if it rejects, okay, you could see much further downside for these stocks. That's what you got to watch out for. But if it gets above it, a lot of times you won't get a retest for the bounce, right? It'll just get above it and just start going, right? Starts triggering algos, so we'll see. But just watch for the retest. We talked about it for now a week now, right? SMH, talk about not dropping below that trend line. Obviously it did when AMD reported. NVIDIA got absolutely slaughtered today. And when you look right here, NVIDIA dropped to 100 on the dot and got bought up pretty fast. And so let me know if you're buying that in after hours. I think a lot of people, you know, it's always between 95 and 100, man. That was going to be a spot to watch. But you can see it's starting to retest that trend line, right, in after hours. And of course, what's the market need? What all these stocks need? Da, 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 here comes Jerome Powell. We're going to call him Super Jerome or whatever. And so we'll see if he gets in there and he wants to decide to raise, you know, the value of his portfolio tomorrow, right? And talking really, you know, super dovish or whatever. We'll have to find out. Now, looking at Tesla, I talked to you to now we see the gap, right? A little space between the 50 and the 200. This is the golden cross. And I said yesterday, usually when you get a golden cross, the stock actually drops right off the bat. For whatever reason, I don't know. But I showed you every single golden cross on here. And with each one of them, for whatever reason, you see a drop. It doesn't mean it had to be a big drop, but it recovers and goes up because the golden cross is bullish. That means the 50s crossing up past the 200. Obviously, the death cross is exactly what it is with the 50s crossing down. Okay, and so Tesla's so volatile, man, it gets a lot more of these than a lot of stocks. But anyway, you can see even right there where we went to the moon, as soon as the official cross happened, it still dropped like 8%, right? 8%, 7%. So no big thing. I think it dropped 5% a day or something like that. It is below that trend line. You know, we'll see if they're going to, and all it did was fill the gap. Tesla loves to fill these gaps, right? It filled the gap to the penny and bounced and kind of held right there, right below the trend line. So we'll see if this is going to pop above that tomorrow. Just watch the trend line for sure. Again, study what a golden cross is if you don't know. Now, what did I tell you about stocks we talked about yesterday? Watch on the red days, right? You see Disney green, Nike green, Chipotle green, Snow's basically flat. Now, Crow, we're going to talk about this one right here, got crushed for those who didn't hear the news. Delta is getting lawyers and they want $500 million, okay, which can't blame them because I was in the airport when this happened and I can tell you it was a freaking nightmare and Delta got the worst all across the globe. So God knows how much money they're having to refund customers. And so we'll see if Crowd's going to pay out. But this is what I was talking about here real quick. When I talked about this, the unknown, right? People say, oh, it's a good time to buy, good time to buy. And I had my shaded area down below where we were at when I was saying that, right? Pretty far below it actually. And I said that would be a great move down. But what we don't know, we won't even know till earnings what the extent of the damage is. And so here you don't know when these news headlines are going to come out with somebody suing them for $500 million. That's one customer. They got thousands of customers. So if they're suing and they're going to pay United, well, United's going to, Delta, well, United, who I was supposed to be flying with, canceled my flight, is going to be right behind them, right? And then whoever, what other airlines, and then you got so many other types of companies, healthcare companies and all kinds of stuff that saw issues. So, I mean, you know, we'll have to see what happens and all that. But if they pay Delta, they're setting a precedent. Everybody else is going to start putting their hand out, right? Heck, maybe I'll sue them, you know? I mean, it did cost me extra money, too, for hotels and a rental car and stuff. I'm just kidding. I mean, they wouldn't laugh at me. But going back to the chart, you know, I was telling one of the members this right here. To me, this trend line right here is what I'm really watching for right here. I mean, this would be, you know, really good because remember, you're always looking for confluence, right? Well, in this one, you got a supported trend line. You got a trend line that's supportive. You got an RTH gap, a daily fair value gap. So nice liquidity, nice RTH gap to fill right there. Setting at the 0.7 fib right there. And so, and plus you'd be down like, I don't know, what's it going to be down, like 50-something% by then? And so that right there is definitely confluence if it gets there. We'll see because people are, you know, I mean, I know people have been DCing in since 300. So, you know, we'll see how that goes. Let me know what you're doing. Now, again, the list of stocks. All you got to do if you're in TradingView, this is a list of stocks. I have to have a lot more in here than you'd have to because I have a channel. But you can see what's green, right? Even though the NASDAQ was pretty far down, the SPY didn't look good at all. IWM held up way better than expected. You can see the sectors. You can see the stocks. They're looking actually not bad at all. You would have thought it was really bad today, but not really. It was just your mega caps, especially your semis, your ARC stocks, man, just poof, not looking good at all. And so, you know, that's just the way it is. But just make you a list like this and just start tracking it and stuff. Again, look at the 5-day moving average. They're getting above them. Look where you want to buy them at, especially if they're, you know, around the 0.50 golden pocket on the fib or whatever, especially if they're down 50%, that kind of stuff. And they actually have good fundamentals to them. They actually do have growth and stuff. They're not a dumpster fire type company or anything, okay? So, again, it's pretty easy to do. It's not too hard, but, you know, just showing you that. And we're going to talk about real quick, SoFi and PayPal, they reported this morning. So that is fintech for you. We'll also talk about Tesla here really quickly. But when you see the semis, oh man, whew, what a bloodbath that was. Now, SoFi, as I told the members, there's two things that are for certain every day. A broken clock will be right twice a day, and SoFi will get back all its earnings gains, okay? And I say that jokingly and then not jokingly because it always does it. I've showed it so many times. Don't get all happy when you see SoFi pop, because it's just a bleeding mess. Now, it did end up green for the day. It held that 732, which I got marked out, bounced off of it. So we'll see if this moves. The shaded area would be my first target if you're looking at, which is that 0.5 fib, and also a nice RTH gap to fill right around 825, 850, somewhere in there. And then it proceeds up from there around 912 if there's a big one here, if it continues to do that. If not, it's going back down in that basement where the other shaded area is down there, where it tends to always move back down, maybe get a bounce from there. But again, this one's a rough one. And so I was cheering, I was hoping for people that are heavy in this one that it was going to go. Okay. Now, PayPal, great big move up on earnings, really good earnings, raised guidance. That trend line, so I always tell you, always keep the trend line in place even once it gets broken, because it's like a moving average. It's going to have to get retested. It's going to be resistance when it has been support, for especially if it's been a support for over a year, especially keep it in place. But you can see, I don't know how many months that was. I think it actually was a year. That trend line right there. Actually, it was, I'm sorry, November to, what was that? June. So I don't know. What we got? 9, 10 months, whatever. But you can see as soon as it hit it, boom, never got back above it today. And so that is key. And PayPal is one of those stocks, by now you ought to know, guilty until proven innocent, okay? And until you get above 68.08, really, nothing really matters, I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, but getting above that trend line is going to be its first hurdle. Now, looking at this, I showed you this the other day. Man, the Qs versus IWM, now only less than 1% apart going into tomorrow for the year. And you can just clearly see that rotation. That was major rotation. You knew exactly where the money was coming from and exactly where it was going. And so we'll see if a rotation, or all of a sudden if both can actually move up, come up here in August. That's what we're going to have to find out. And so now looking at earnings here real quick tomorrow, we got some more big ones. Going to have Boeing, Norwegian, Wing, Kraft Heinz going on. Oh, don't forget MasterCard down at the bottom. Maybe it'll actually beat, because Visa and American Express did not. Remember that? That's kind of a thing you got to watch out for. And then you're going to have Meta, ARM, Qualcomm, Carvana, and then Riot. And, you know, looking over here at what we got going on for data, big time day tomorrow, okay? ADP non-farm pro change comes out at 8:15. 8:30 is employment cost index, 9:45 Chicago PMI, 10 a.m. pending home sales. Woo, take a breath on that one. And then the big one, 2 p.m. federal funds rate, FOMC statements coming out, and then the press conference with Superman Jerome Powell. We're going to see if he wants to just pump up, you know, him and his buddies' portfolio, or knock it back down. So we got to find out. Obviously, you know, the data we get from the government on inflation has been coming in where they want to see it coming in. The market's definitely saying like 90% or something cut in September. Not sure about that one, but November definitely looks really likely. But we'll see if September is going to be on the chopping boards. I showed you yesterday how many months it's been, and by the time September gets here, they'll have almost held rates as long as they did right before the great financial crisis, right? And so what a lot of banks are doing now, if you don't know this, they're dumping their bonds. They're taking massive losses on bonds and locking in other bonds, right? Because they see the cut coming too. And so, you know, we'll see how this plays out or whatever. I guess if they don't cut, woo, you know, we'll see what happens, you know, what's going on. But that's what we're in right now. And again, tomorrow is the end of the month, okay, with all that data coming out, with these earnings. So you can definitely buckle up for some volatility. I'll be watching the futures tonight for sure, like a hawk, to see if they run this up again. I think they ran it up the last 2 nights. But coming into this, after a nice sell-off down the Qs, we'll see. They were running it up from 4 upwards of 5:30 when I started recording this. We'll see if that continues or not. So anyway, please hit the like and subscribe button if you got anything out of it. Appreciate it. Sign up for membership if you want to. Get access to 2 private videos I do every week. Morning news brief, Monday through Friday, and the Discord. So anyway, have a good one, guys.